Welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Tropic Marin channel. Today from Reef Mania here in the beautiful city of Stuttgart. Maybe not that beautiful, but Reef Mania is amazing. Tropic Marin is here, Reef is here, everyone is here basically. And there's new stuff from Tropic Marin, and I got a box here. Purity salt. It's a new type of salt. It's a problem solver. This type of salt is highly pure, as it says, purity salt, and you can use it to dilute trace element concentrations in case you have too high concentrations of trace elements like metals and other things that you don't want to have in your tank in high concentrations. So with that salt, you can balance out overdosing, more or less. Really interesting aspect is it's not purely from Tropic Marin. It's in a collaboration with Fauna, which I think in itself has very interesting potential for great products. With that being said, I would say we open the box. The salt itself, as it says, it's highly pure. Production process is fairly complicated compared to usual sea salt because there is no anti-caking agents in there. Usually there is like iron and manganese based anti-caking agents, but then you bring iron and manganese into your tank, which you don't want to have if you have too much of that anyway. So these are not in there, which makes the process of mixing fairly complicated. And hence you have two components, component 1, component 2, which is then dissolved in RODI water according to the recommendations. You can use it to run a tank on that salt in case you want to dose every single element individually and want to have full control over the entire chemistry. But main purpose is to balance out high concentrations. I would say we close the box and move ahead to the other booth. We're here at Tropic Marin with Claude, one of the salt architects.
Yeah.
On that new, very interesting product.
Yeah, we had a specific idea to creating a new kind of salt. We just talked before about a correction of levels, which was not the first intention for this kind of salt. The idea was to creating a salt where we can clean tanks. So usually now we have over-fertilization or overdosing by many trace elements, by that stuff coming from the foods and from changing salts or something like that. We do a lot of work about the chemistry and the laboratory testing.
Yeah.
I wanted to have something which can remove too much of the elements which are sitting in the floor and the bottom and the sand, which can go back. So if you do water change with a purity salt, you reduce the amount of trace elements in the water and they will be automatically created equilibrium. That trace elements and stuff coming back from the surface, you can remove it and you can reduce the depots which you created. And
which essentially would be also count as a correction, I would say.
yeah, but you know, the corrections is mainly about the carbonate hardness or about the calcium. In this case, the main reason why we use it is if you have issues with cyanobacteria or dinoflagellates, they use that nutrients levels and the organics and also trace elements which are sitting in the surface, they can use it. So if we reduce it, we stop the growth of them and we can help out to create a healthy, stable microbiome biology there to reduce kind of too much in the tank. And that's why this salt is created mostly for that. This is really crazy that it makes more issues to remove things.
Yeah.
Instead of to say, hey, let us buy a salt, because everybody thinks that we have to add a lot of things into the salt, but sometimes these impurities or these elements are just in the salt when we get the raw materials.
Yeah.
It was super hard to find salts which are analysis quality or higher, but usable for the aquarium. So it's not always that you can say you buy pro-analysis salt, so it's super high expensive stuff, but they still contain some elements which you don't want. And that took a lot of time. And when I talked with Marcus, I asked, I need that. So remove all the stuff and then we can use the salt. I have an idea. I want to test it out. He said, we can add in, but removing becomes a challenge.
Yeah, adding is always easier, right? Just dumping stuff in, but then how do you remove it again?
And that was so funny to always testing in a lab and going to the farm, checking on the cores, what's going on. And so we especially remove all the trace elements, but we let the molybdenum and iodine in the salt. Same as the fluoride and that stuff. And this is in an amount which is really important to have it. These are elements who have a big impact in the biology and in the chemistry of the corals.
Immune system
And that stuff. And since today everybody's talking about the microbiome and the things, I think it's totally underrated how important it is not to over-fertilize the tank. And due to the standard stuff, a lot of food, a lot of different, we give too much stuff into the tanks. And with that type of salt, you can reduce it. You can use it all day long. It does not matter. So you can control the dosing of several trace elements like you want. But you can also take every 3 months a water change. You can take a protocol of 2-3 time water change with that salt, and it will reduce the too high amounts of elements which you maybe get it in your tank.
It's still beneficial, of course, to do the regular ICP analysis to know what's in your tank and where may be issues, and then you can start to play around with it.
But the best thing is if you do that and you get rid of your cyanos and dinoflagellates and you can control it better, I think this is way more important than what sometimes we're doing, because this is really crazy. But you can. So it's possible, you can play around with that. And so I'm also very happy about this joint venture. They have really know what they're doing. This maybe more than 60 years now, as I know. So quite happy to have also product where we both standing on the packaging. I think it's also quite unique that this ever happened. It was really not normal. You can get it, you can try it out, you will be amazed, you will see.
It's a lot of fun to play around with. We'll use it soon in our facility as well, to play around with the corals, and we'll make a video about that. Because right now it's so brand new that
we are completely sold out, by the way. This is
I even haven't had the chance to use it, but I'm very excited to do so in the very near future. Very cool project.
Have a great day.
What the future brings.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.